steeper hill to climb, i.e. converting a stranger into someone that knows, likes, and trusts you. And so I always try and advise, like, if you want to get your first win, people already around you have money, and don't perceive they don't have money, they do have money. You just got to be this person that can provide an opportunity to them. Obviously, in terms of different classifications, you've got a sophisticated investor. So this is someone, for me, when I'm raising money, I like to stick to my retail. I like to call these guys your friends and family, your retail. You might obviously have an ultra high net worth investor who maybe is your family or network. So you can have all these types of people within your network. But like, for me, the easiest finance raise is from a retail investor. When I say retail investor, someone that isn't necessarily into investments. They kind of work a job. They might dabble into things here and there, made a few investments, but nothing major. So they are just easier to be able to have the conversation around and raising capital from them, and not get a pushback of, I want this super high returns because they know how to make more money, so why would they give you the money at this low return? So for me, that's kind of where I play. Sometimes you might get the odd sophisticated investor who's maybe made some investments in the past and knows about investment, how investment works, and that's okay. You can raise money from them. You can also raise money from ultra high net worths and high net worth individuals. But as you can imagine, as you kind of go down the food chain of people that have invested in the past, their experience of seeing returns and what they get from these returns, from these investments, they're going to bring that to the table. And so sometimes it can be hard to shift them on what you want and what they want. And if you can't come to the middle ground, I talk about the concept of being willing to walk away. Like, when I raise money, I'm offering an opportunity to invest with me. If for whatever reason we can't come to terms, I'm like, look, hey, it looks like unfortunately we can't come to agreement on this. Clearly you want a higher return, I can offer you that. The max I can offer you is this, because if I go any higher than this, I risk losing your money, and I'm not here to lose your money, I want to protect your money. So if we can't come to an agreement, it is what it is. It's not for everyone, right? So if it is for you, great. If it's not, we just go part ways and obviously stay in contact. Maybe in the future I get something that maybe fits that criteria, whereby I can provide you those returns and we can come back and revisit that. So I'm very quick to be very standoffish, like, look, there's another person I'm going to speak to, potentially we'll close on it, so if you don't want it, it's fine. And so that way you kind of keep these guys at bay, because these guys, honestly, like, they're going to come in with their demands and tell you how the game needs to be run. Very rarely do you sit with a high net worth individual or ultra high net worth individual and you dictate the terms. Unless you've got this amazing opportunity. I haven't personally experienced that. So hence why I say, for me, personal favorite, people, friends, family, to start with. What do investors want? So when it comes to raising capital, security is everything. Your ability to be able to portray that you are a safe pair of hands, as well as saying at the beginning, is what is going to allow you to ultimately raise money from people. Because as you can imagine, for someone that's like hard-earned money, worked their whole life to save it, they've got a good chunk of money around, they see the bank as security. Because bankers are on the high street, they can go to the bank, they can walk into the bank, so it's kind of this sense or this facade of like security that their money's safe. So you've got to now convince them to take their money out of Barclays, Santander, whatever it is, Lloyds, and put it into a bank of whoever you are. And as you can imagine, there's all this fear and this uncertainty as, is my money going to come back? If I wire the money, am I ever going to see you again? So security for me is above all. The next most important thing is what return are they getting? So your ability, again, to be able to provide them an opportunity that currently maybe outweighs what they're currently getting, or maybe an alternative investment to what they're currently getting, again, allows them to want to do business yourself. Duration's the next thing. So when I mean by duration, obviously how long the loan amount is for, the investment they're giving to you, how long that's going to be with you. So again, that's something you're going to negotiate. All these three things are things you're going to negotiate with an investor when speaking to them about raising capital. But for me, this is how I would rank the three. In terms of security types, so there's several security types, right? Ultimately, the way I raise money, I like to stay in this domain of loan agreements, because I'm just simply loaning money and I'm giving a fixed return on this money, and that's my play. Some people like to offer charges, let's say you can only really truly offer a first charge if they're borrowing a significant amount, i.e. majority of the purchase price, if not all. Because ultimately, if you're trying to leverage both the bank and investor finance, then it means that a first charge can't be offered, because the bank are the one providing a good 65% of that money towards the purchase. So they want the highest and best security available, which is a first charge on the asset. And just, I don't know if you guys are aware of kind of charges, ranking of charges. Obviously, yeah, it's good. So next thing, restrictions. For me, like I kind of combat all these three in terms of like, if you're not getting a first charge, you can get out restrictions, you can get out personal guarantees. These are just kind of like a facade of like a false sense of security. As long as someone's an investor, like, oh, I want to get a charge. So for example, a second charge, I'm like, if for whatever reason the project goes bad and we had a horror story, the bank who's got first charge looks to repossess. The bank doesn't care about your investors and who's lending you money and what money you've got in the deal, second charge, equity, whatever you want to call it. They just want to recoup back their investment. So if they need to do a fire sale, they will do a fire sale to recoup their money out and get out of the deal. And there's no loyalty to second charges or what equity position you're in that asset. So I don't know if you've ever noticed in a valuation pack, there's like different valuation terms, i.e. a 90-day term, 180-day term, and that determines how quick can we sell this asset and what price could we sell for to be able to get out of this asset. And if you kind of match that to the borrowing amount, you always see that even the worst case scenario is still higher than what they're in for, i.e. what's the total investment to the deal. So first charge for me is the ultimate charge you can get on an asset. If an investor's talking about they want a second charge, I like to position myself as like, okay, great, you want a second charge, but ultimately, if something was to go wrong, would you be okay with me saying that, hey, it's in the bank's hands and whatever happens, i.e. I'm not liable for that money? And they will default to no, I want you to secure the money that I'm borrowing to you. So we always come back, I always try and bring them back to a loan agreement by discrediting a second charge, personal guarantee. Personal guarantee and loan agreement are the same thing in the sense, a personal guarantee usually relates to if you're lending money to a business. So if you're raising money directly into a business, you have to sign a personal guarantee as a director of the company to personally be liable for that money. Because if you didn't sign a personal guarantee in the business and they lent the money to the business, you could fold your company tomorrow and the money's gone. There's no claim because the money was lent to the business doesn't exist anymore, the business went bust. So that money's now disappeared. And that's why personal guarantees are in place. So these two are pretty much the same, just used for different avenues. That's on a personal loan basis that they borrow money to your name. And that's on the basis that they borrow money into a business. And that's why you sign a personal guarantee. Does that make sense? The sun is killing me. I'm about to switch. So just in terms of protecting yourself, and the reason I talk about protecting yourself, raising money isn't, it can get complicated, but at the same time, it's trying to just make sure that the people that you're speaking to understand what they're about to get involved in. Because ultimately it's an investment, right? They're investing money into you. So I guess where I am now, like I send out like a Calendly link, which is basically an invite to book a meeting with myself. And it's kind of like these qualifying questions to be able to, this is a few of them, but like I make them kind of answer some of these questions just to kind of qualify themselves. Have you invested before? What type of investor are you? Do you understand capital's always at risk? Even though the game isn't to lose your money, but I just want them to just at least have an awareness of what investment is. How much capital do you have liquid? Are you willing to share proof of funds with myself and source of funds? Well, not necessarily with myself, but like, are you willing to share that? That will go for a solicitor, but the point is, they're going to be comfortable with these things. And if they're not, obviously I'll pick this up on a call with them when I get on the call with them, but they need to have that. And also all the calls are recorded as well, just for their protection. If they say, oh, why are we recording the call? Was for you to have a copy to show what we agreed or what was said, if we did proceed. So I have that as evidence. If something happens, it goes left, whatever reason, they themselves have that evidence as to how they got themselves involved in this process. So,
what's your out of all the people you speak to, what's your like close rate? Would you say people who end up?
I've never. It's changed over. Like at the beginning, I would just get on the phone to anybody. At the beginning, it's like, hey, who's got money? It's like, yeah, I've got money. All right, let's get on a phone call. Now, I would even like now it's like pretty much like a script that gets sent. And I guess the framing there as well is it's kind of, I guess, a trick for you guys. When I'm looking at raising money, when someone DMs me and says, hey, you've got some money around me, I always say, I've raised, so I'll say how much I'm trying to raise. So I'm trying to raise up to 150 grand. I've already raised 50 grand. There's only left 100 grand left. If you're interested, book in a call with me. So they have to go through this qualifying question, and obviously I don't speak to them after that. Like if you book in a call, great. If you don't, I'll follow up with you obviously the next day if you haven't booked, and see if it's of interest. And if it's not, you tell me why it wasn't of interest, so I will know. But the idea is I don't spend much time now like going back and forth and all that stuff. Like at the beginning, yes, I was spending a lot of time getting on calls, so pretty much a low conversion rate of like maybe like 10%. But now it's pretty much like 50%. If I get on every two people I speak to, chances are if one of the two will close. Because I'm only going to get on a call with you if these questions come out right. So if you, I don't know, you wouldn't even book the form in the first place. Or, for example, where it says what potential return you're looking for. If you say 25%, for example, is the return you want, I will handle that in the DM. So, hey, look, unfortunately, that's not something how far clearly states we offer investors between 6 to 10%. So if you don't fall within that bracket, and again, this is just to manage your expectations. You're going to read this, right? And so you're already in the frame of mindset, well, he'll offer 6 to 10%. So it's either you proceed and still fill in the form, or you pull out. But sometimes some people just still want to put their return in there, right, and say how much they're looking to do. But I'm very strict on that. Like, I know what I want and what I can provide and what I can securely provide. And so if that's outside of that, I'll just say, hey, look, unfortunately, this isn't for you because it falls outside the bracket that of what we offer. So for that reason, we won't even have the call. They'll be in my database. Everybody that books into this thing is on my database, but like I wouldn't get on a call with them. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Sorry, it's a question. I know you said on a podcast you're like got big visions.
Yeah.
Are you looking at in property? Are you looking at staying with the HMOs, or are you got other avenues you're looking now to scale?
How many billionaires made their billions from HMOs?
You mentioned billions. I was curious about.
Yeah. So no, I'm going to get into private equity. So there's no way I stay. I'm not here to be hundreds of I don't know if people say I'm trying to build 100 HMOs. I'm like, fucking good luck to you, mate. But like, it's just not. I guess everyone has different goals, right? So it depends what you're trying to achieve in life. But like, I don't think anybody needs 100 HMOs. Like after a certain level of HMOs, you're gonna feel like, okay, I need to do something different. I need to do something more sophisticated. I want to buy a building like this that has all the units rented, and I own the entire building. That's what I want. In a prime location like this, I don't want these. I can't even point one. I want them with shitty HMOs. That's to get you to a certain level, right? The strategy is to get you to 100 mil to $1 billion. They're all going to look different. So yeah, for sure, it's not something I'm going to go crazy with. No, sounds simply yeah.
What's your building blocks?
Yeah, it's foundation. So I'm just starting. So like for me, I'm not looking at scaling a HMO portfolio.
Because you did like what 3 years, wasn't it? You went no HMOs.
Yeah, I've got 9 at the moment.
9 HMOs in 3 years.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So like, but I might do 1 or 2 more. Now I'm at a stage where I'm kind of putting time as part of the equation. I can spend the next 12 months doing maybe another 2 HMOs, or I can spend even the next 2 years, make no money, but have a deal that's worth 100 mil, or 50 mil, or 20 mil. That is far gonna outweigh what I did as a HMO portfolio, income-wise, asset value-wise. So like, add an additional 5 grand, 10 grand a month isn't gonna change my life. It just won't. 100 grand a month will.
To get so you've got like a solid foundation, so you've got like a base from what you can work from.
Yeah, so this is kind of what Ted was talking about, JV partners. I didn't take any JV partners when I started my journey. I said, for me, I'm very clear on what I want out of life, and I just walk through those steps, right? And big lesson you can learn is just get clear on what you want and just stick to the principles. Like, when I raise money, I have principles of how I raise money, how I run my investments. If you fit within there, great. If you don't, you're out. So same as wanting to get to billions or hundreds of millions, I need to create my own foundation. So I haven't got any investors as part of my portfolio. You can check companies' houses, nobody else, just me. I own the properties. The money comes to me. I'm going to speak to anybody about this, that. I can sell the whole entire thing. I can leverage that asset to pull more money out without having to speak to anybody. And for me, that was the reason for not having any joint venture partners. Because I know in the future, I will probably pay down a bit of the debt on there. So to be able to go to a bank and say, hey, I need to access 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever the number is, I can just leverage the portfolio and pull as security and just get money from the bank. So they take charge of my assets and get money quickly, go make my money, pay them off, and pay off they release the charges again of the assets, and I can go again. I can keep rent and repeat that model. So you've got to have a foundation to allow you to be able to kind of play in that manner, if that makes sense. So that's why I went through this journey. But yeah, like I said, long term, it's not something I'm going to like scale to crazy amounts. Apartment blocks to the moon. I'm going to buy as many commercial apartment blocks, residential blocks as possible. Just own as much as possible is the plan. Yeah. Cool. All right. So Moving on. In terms of handling objections and negotiation, I think for me this is probably a big part in being able to secure investments from people, because ultimately you can portray you as a safe pair of hands and all that stuff, but it comes down to objections in a sense. Have you guys had any investor conversations before? I'm trying to think, like, what have you guys kind of come across? No one's ever had an investor conversation before. So can you imagine, I guess in your mind now, if you were to go to an investor, what do you think could be the question that someone could ask or pose to you to say, to want to qualify before making an investment with yourself? Like what could be a question be?
Well, so I'm asking you a question to invest in me, or you're
So let's say you've gone through a proposal, so let me put the context. To be able to raise an investment the way in which I do it, I would get on a call with somebody, I would look to establish a rapport with that person, i.e. kind of get to know them a bit more, get to know their background, get to know what kind of excites them, what things they kind of do with themselves, normally just outside of just investments in general, just like what they do with their time basically. Get an idea of what their experience has been with investing into asset classes, if they have or haven't, what they do with their money, just to get an idea of what they have done with money, what they perceive money can be used for. From that, obviously I'm gathering data, right? If I'm asking someone, hey, so just out of curiosity, like what excites you when it comes to investment? What kind of returns excites you? They're going to give me the data around what kind of excites them. They can say, hey, I've been investing in stocks. I've been seeing about 6 to 8% return annually. And it kind of fluctuates, but that's what I kind of really see with the money. I probably got about 50 grand in there. And so that already tells me I need to present an opportunity that either matches, well, probably not matched, for them to move that. If they've got security in that, they want to move it. So you would literally provide something slightly better than that for them to want to consider moving that money. So your ability to be able to fact find prior to you even presenting an opportunity is going to help you massively in closing an investor. If you just jump in, hey, Mr. Investor, I need 150 grand, I want to give 10%, you have no idea, first of all, if they've ever invested 100 grand into any investments before, what their returns have been on that investment if they have done that. So you don't even know, you're just shooting, hoping something sticks. And that's the wrong mentality. So for me, there's a huge fact-finding stage before I even present my opportunity. Like if we don't even get past the bit where I feel like what I'm about to present is going to make sense to you, I didn't present. And that's why the fact-finding stage for me in the process of like when speaking to investors is super, super important. A lot of people kind of go and I need to pitch, hey, I've got this deal, it's this, it's that, it's done. Like me, haven't even taken the time to understand who your investor is, what excites them, what they've done in the past, what gets them to pull the trigger. The more information you know about your investor as to how they make decisions on making investments in the past will allow you to be able to present your opportunity in a much better position than if you just went in blind. So you've got to spend a lot of time with your investors. Don't just go pitching, you're just wasting your time, potentially. So assuming that I've now gathered that data about the investor, I will now position my opportunity to match or better whatever they've got. So for example, when you go to, let's say you went straight to an investor and just, hey, I've got this opportunity, I want to raise 100 grand, I'm offering 10%. They might have only been seeing 2% of their money. You've now gone to 10. So two things can happen. They can be either super scared, i.e. there's no way 10% exists, it must be high risk, I'm not moving my money from where it currently is. Or they're like, yeah, that's amazing, I'll do 10%. But they could have been happy with 5 or 4. So hence why, in a battle of negotiation, whoever says the number first loses. Fact. If someone asks you, so what returns are you offering? I am doing my best to swerve I'm like, or even the more common one, Alfred, how much you need? What's the minimum amount you need? Or can I invest? I just say I'm raising up to 150 grand. How much can you put towards that? So I'm just telling them, I'm just saying, I know this is what I want. So I'll just say a random number. This is how much I'm trying to raise. I know they're going to come in between or below that number. So I'm trying to force them to say a number without me saying, because if I say 20, they might have been happy with 50. So I'm trying my best to get them to say the number they actually are comfortable with. And that's the whole game anyways. You want to get them to be comfortable with whatever they invest in. So some will start at 20, some will start at 50, some will start at 100. It just depends what they're comfortable with doing.
Are you always looking for the most possible you can get out of each?
Would you not? Yeah, of course, yeah. So I want to keep the investors minimal as much as possible, right? So if I can get 100 grand from one person, I'd rather get 100 grand from one person and get from 50K from 2 people or 25 from 4 people. So whatever I can get, I'll get. But they always will ask the question, oh, what's your minimum investment you take? And I say, I'm raising 150 grand. What can you put towards that? Oh, I'm not quite sure, like I've got some money around me. Or they might be wishy-washy around, like, okay, I'll literally drill down onto, like, okay, I know you say you've got little. Some people, little is £1 million. Some people, little is 20 grand. What's a little to you?
Do you have a minimum? Personally? Like,
So I don't, so.
Because otherwise you might end up with...
Yeah, so I'm not gonna have, like, so it depends, it's all timing as well. Like, it depends what I actually need the money for. If I'm in a position where, like, maybe I'm trying to cover some fees and stuff, I might take a lower amount, like less than, like, sub 20 grand, I'm like, I probably wouldn't. But kind of 20 grand is probably the minimum, I would say, kind of worth the time. Maybe if it's like, if I've raised, sometimes I might go as low as 10 to like, sometimes I might go as low as 10 is the lowest I would go ever. If I've got, like, someone maybe giving me 60 and someone's willing to have another 10 on, another 20 on, that I'm happy with. But, like, it's got to, like, in the time of the finance raise, yeah. But it's just randomly 10 grand, like I haven't got need for that. Like, it's just doesn't make sense right now. So it's all timing. It's kind of a preference, but, like, you have the choice, right? That's the whole point. You want to stay in control of how you want to run your business, how much money you want to take from an individual. If it doesn't fit within your ethos of, like, I don't want to have a certain amount of money raised from an individual, you don't want to raise 10 grand, you say these are your terms. The minimum is X, but you don't want to vocally say that to them. You want them to voice whatever minimum is for them. Then you can say, hey, look, they might say, oh, let's say they've said their minimum is 10 grand. You might say, hey, look, we normally like to do deals above 20 grand. Is there any way in which you can do 20 grand? So you pose the question to them, and they can come back and say, yeah, you know what, I can move some money around, I can get 20 grand. And that gets them over the line, or they're like, absolutely, that's all I've got, then for me, that's a no. Maybe in the future, reach out again, but for now, it's a no.
Do you think a lot of people invest with you just because they think it's, like, more of the exciting element, even though they're not, like, part of the project in the JV sense, they just like seeing the updates, like, oh, what's my money being used for?
I don't think my investors don't care. I'll be real. Like, what made me realize I had great investors and I was on the right track was when COVID happened. I genuinely thought that a lot of my investors were going to call me and say, Alfred, where's money? Because things have gone left, I just lost my job, this happened, or don't know what's happening. The world is like full stop, nothing's happening, where's the money? And nobody called me. So I was like, okay, so this is good. There's no one panicked, no one thought, oh, let me check on this guy, where's my money? None of that. So that's a framing that I like to kind of put around investments. The money they're lending to me is money that if all hell breaks loose, they're not calling me. I am in a physical asset which is very illiquid. I can't just liquidate if I even wanted to that quickly to be able to say, hey, tomorrow here's your money back. No, it's stuck for the duration of which we've agreed. So 6 months, 12 months, it's all part of the loan agreement. It clearly states you cannot request funds to due date, and similarly, I can't return funds without getting penalized, i.e. paying the full interest for the entire duration. So let's say we borrowed it for 12 months, and for whatever reason I'm done month 7 and I want to pay it back, I will still owe them interest for the whole entire 12. So that means that they've got a great return for a 12-month return in 7 months. So for me, it's a win. It's a mutually beneficial situation for both of us. And so investors understand that the money going into this deal is solely locked into this deal, and there's no. Obviously, someone comes like something's happened, mistake, blah blah. Cool. I'll try and look to replace it, but, like, I'm not obligated to, and that's the point. And that's why you're protecting yourself again. Like, if you had that in place, if you didn't have that in place, then they can just come and make the story up, and they become a problem, right? Become a nuisance, and it's kind of your problem to fix. So having these things in place allows you to safeguard yourself and not get into these situations with investors potentially. I personally haven't experienced it, but I know it happens for sure. People lend money and something happens, and if you haven't vetted that correctly, then it's like, okay, you've got to try and fix the problem, right? And I don't want to fix the problem when I've got my own projects to worry about, or even potentially raising more money for other deals, and you're here telling me I need your 50 grand back. It's like, sorry, mate. So I try and manage that and not have that situation. But yeah, so all good?
Yeah, and do you leave, I presume you leave money in someone's deal?
100%. I've never had a deal, unfortunately, where I put 150 grand in and it's all come back out. I might put 150 grand in and maybe 80, 90 of that comes back out on a refinance. And so it means that maybe I've got 60 grand left in the deal. But for me, that's quite standard.
You're playing a long game, so it doesn't actually matter because time will just
Yeah, so like obviously, what you remember is obviously once you buy the asset and you've got to the end, it's appreciated in value. You've now got a higher amount of equity in that property. 1, 2, you now have an income producing asset. The reason why you can't pull that additional 60 grand is because that money is part of the equity in the property, right? So at that point, you can leverage either the current investor, speaking to them about, hey, and the thing we realize if you're doing this correctly is on day 1, you will know exactly what your numbers are. You will know what your cash position is at the end of the deal, at the end of the term of the agreement. So you can forecast, okay, I know in 8 months time, I'm gonna get money back, but I've got to pay this guy in 12 months and it's not gonna be enough. So you can have the conversation way before in advance to kind of see what the investor wants to do. Are they looking to recycle their money with you again, or are they looking to go elsewhere and put their money into something else, which then means that you've got to either replace the investor, i.e. get a new investor who's willing to lend you 60 grand for another 12 months, which then buys you time to pay that money back, whether it's through cash flow, whether it's through other means, other income, whatever, to be able to pay back. Some people, for example, I know will do the model of for every 3 HMOs, for example, they'll sell an asset to kind of balance out money left in across the 2 deals. I'm not a big believer on selling an asset because I just believe I can just raise money, so I'll just raise money instead and pay it down later. So that's kind of been my go-to when I've had money left in the deal.
That's a great mindset. It's like it's quite freeing. It's like there's so much out there. Just take more money out of the system and just use it. It's just a conversation away, isn't it?
I think people need to realize there are people out there in this world who are raising tens, if not hundreds of millions on an idea. It's something that someone just thought about, went to a room, spoke in front of people, and they said, yep, I like that idea, makes sense, I can see where this can go. They haven't even generated income. It's just an idea, oh, we think this is going to be the next big thing. The next unicorn idea, okay, cool, here's 10 million pounds, go make it happen. And that's an idea. If someone can raise money on an idea, you cannot tell me you can't raise money to buy a tangible building that has a location, a physical presence. Like there's even a valuation that matches the investment amount. People are investing in ideas, it's obviously an idea. There's a perception of what it can be worth in the future, but it's not tangible, right? It's just this thing. So that should get you the framing around like why it should be easy. Like raising money in property should be the easiest thing you can raise money for because it's tangible. People know property, people appreciate property. People know properties is proven to make money year on year. We can't say that about businesses trying to find the next unicorn opportunity. So just have that in mind, and it's kind of a mindset thing around money, like, and how easy it can be to raise money for property. Make sense? So yeah, coming back to kind of the whole conversation. So assume you've done the whole fact finding, you've gone into the opportunity phase, i.e. you're looking to present the opportunity. In the opportunity phase, I don't like to deep dive into the deal, i.e. talk about the deal specifically. I like to fixate around what is it they're looking from an investment, i.e. what kind of returns, what kind of capital they're looking to put in, and what kind of duration they're willing to lend money for. And so when I'm discussing opportunities, it's very simple. Hey, so we've got an opportunity whereby we're looking to raise 150 grand. We're going to offer our investors 10% return on that money. Obviously, or depending on how much they invest, we'll offer a potential return. It could be monthly, it could be annually. The idea is I want to fixate the whole conversation around the numbers of how much, duration, and then the loan agreement as security. I don't want to open kind of worms and talk about, oh, I'm buying 300 grand property, I'm going to spend 150 grand on it, and worth 600 grand. Because then we start asking questions, oh, well, who's your team? How are you going to do this? When are you going to buy it? It has no relevance to how their return, what they're getting. I want to keep fixate on the thing that's important, which is their money.
So you would avoid getting actually discussing the specifics. You'd be, look, we're flipping this property here. You wouldn't be like, okay, so there's 3 comparables in the area that have sold to prove like this is a good deal.
Only reason why you'd have a conversation with an investor that way is if they were going to be equity partners. Like, are you going to lend money, become a JV partner with you, and then that's when they need to know the granular details. So you being a builder, you might go and find a financial partner who's got millions of pounds and say, hey, I'm an operator, basically. You're a builder, you're an operator. You can get a team together, allocate to that project. The guy's got the money. You buy the property, you do the works, blah, blah, happy days. So from that perspective, they want to know the model and understand exactly what type of property you're buying, how much the price is going to be, what the refurb cost is going to be, and what's the end value potential. And then for that reason, they need to kind of deep dive into how it's going to work, right? So that makes sense as a partner. But if you're just simply lending money, there is no relevance of them using the deal. And the great way I like to handle this objection around, oh, I need to know about the deal. Tell me more about the deal. So very simply, I like to say, hey, look, the way I run things over here, by me taking this investment, I'm also going to try and recycle this capital as much as possible in that duration of time which you borrow the money to me. So there is no relevance of me discussing this particular deal in a sense. When I'm done with this deal, the money's going to get recycled from that project and rolled into my next project. So me sitting here and talking about this deal isn't necessarily going to be the same for deal 2. It could be different, slightly different, whatever. So for that reason alone, there is no relevance. Because even if I came back and said, hey, the deal that we spoke about on the sheet and we said the numbers of this didn't happen, you won't be happy if I told you the returns are not going to be lowered because I didn't get the outcome I wanted. Is that fair? And most people say, yeah, that's fair. I don't want to be told. I want to get what I was told on day one. So again, there is no relevance. So I like to position as well. Whether the deal goes good, bad, it doesn't matter. Your returns are fixed. Your money borrowed, duration, it's all fixed. Day one, we know what the outcome is, so that isn't going to change. It doesn't matter what happens to the deal. So they kind of then back off around the whole needing to know about the deal and understand, okay, the deal's less relevant. If it's going to
repeat that part about, so you said, so you framed it like, so you wouldn't be happy if the deal went badly and
yeah, so they keep saying, oh, I need to know the deal. So okay, but if I was to come back to you and say, hey, you know the deal that we spoke about 6 months ago? It didn't quite achieve the numbers we said on day one. Would you be comfortable with me saying that I'm going to reduce your returns? Or potentially even tell you I've lost your money or your returns are now 0 because the deal didn't go out the way it did?
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah.
Then they're like, yeah, no, I don't. So regardless of point proving, the deal doesn't have an effect, right? Whether you're going to have your 10% return or not. So us talking about a deal has no relevance. Because I can't use that back in a few months' time. Because on day one, it's just a piece of paper. Excel sheet or presentation, whatever you want to call it. So that's not factual. It hasn't happened. It's aspirational of what's going to happen based on maybe some data, blah, blah, like you're saying comparables. It doesn't 100% guarantee that.
I can see that, because if you start giving them comparisons, you're like, oh, my neighbour knows that street, and you would never achieve that. And you'll be like, you'll get into
yeah, so you start arguing about, oh, well, that's not possible, how are you going to do that? And then start getting into the mechanics of, and these guys are not even well versed in this stuff, like, and they're now telling you how to run your job, how to run your business. Yeah. Like if you knew how to do it, right, you do it yourself, right? You won't be on this call. So you clearly don't. I'm the expert here. Respectfully, like obviously I won't say that on the call, but like that's the mindset. That's the mindset I'm having on the call. Like for me, I go into these calls quite bullish in a sense. I know I have more to give than they're giving me. I don't care how much I've made. I've had people show me £10 million, £20 million, £1 million statements, 800 grand statements, and they come in big balls. Oh yeah, Alfred, tell me. No, we're going to run things the way I'm going to run it, and if you don't like it, I frame this like, hey, look, I appreciate this opportunity is not for everyone, but if it is, I'd love to work with you and I'd love to build a long-term relationship with you and help create returns for yourself. That is the framing. So if I don't like anything I'm hearing from them, they want to get 50% return, I'll just laugh, look. And sometimes I try to say, so just out of curiosity, like, have you ever achieved 50% return before? And where have you received 50% return? Then they start stumbling. Okay, so you clearly haven't achieved 50% before. So why would you think that I'm going to just give you 50%? Especially on a passive opportunity where you have no involvement, you simply write a check and I pay you that. It doesn't exist. If it was, I'll be doing it myself. Everyone in the country will be doing it.
Show me where I'll invest my money.
Yeah, I'll do it. When the call now and we both go invest where you're investing for that return. It doesn't exist. So people come in and tell you what they want and sometimes they've just never seen that money. It'll be good to get 20% return. Okay, where do you get 20% return where your money is not a risk in terms of like, you don't wake up tomorrow and it's gone? Or can be told that your money's gone to 0. Because those returns that tell you they can get you 20%, 30% return, this is what I talk about, understand how money works. Because if you did understand how money works, you can position and frame it in that way, right? If you didn't, you wouldn't know what to say. You just say, okay, well, fair enough. No. If of course they exist. You can get 20%, you can get 100% return. That's these unicorn businesses. These unicorn businesses, when they invest, they want 3x their money. The person that invests 10 million into their business is looking to make 100 million from that 10 million pound investment. But they also understand that 10 million can go to 0. Are you sat across this call ready for your money to go to 0? The answer is no. There's no all day of the week is no. So it's like, it's great they want these returns, but just give them the reality check. Say, hey, look, I'm not here in the game where I'm going to come back and tell you 0. This is why returns are low. You've got to relate, I guess, returns as well to risk, and sometimes you have to educate them, right? The higher the return is, the more risk the thing is. Banks borrow you money for a house, relatively low returns, 3%, 4%, 5%, because they know home security is their physical tangible asset. That's why it's super low returns. When you start going up the risk scale, they start to increase the interest rate. Bridging loan. The reason why bridging loans are like 11, 12, 15% is because there's risk element, development. If development goes wrong, the deal can go bad, they can potentially lose their money. So they're being compensated for, it's not a risk, in reality it's not a risk, but that is how they're calculating what they want to provide. And also the fact that they're borrowing money from banks and they're borrowing from other people, and they're going to pay them their returns as well, and still make some margins on top of that. So you understanding how this stuff works allows you to be able to position this opportunity in your favor. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah. And if you're at the beginning of your journey you're looking to raise, you'd be, I assume you'd be sort of leveraging the experience of your team as well, like we've done projects. Yeah,
so a big one is, oh, hey, what's your experience of doing something like this? And at that point, you're always going to leverage your team, because if you haven't done a project before, you can't say, there's no point in lying and saying, oh, I've done it several times over. No, you've got to leverage your team and say, hey, my team has actually been out, done several of these type of projects before. The bank I'm utilizing as well, I've obviously verified them, because they wouldn't lend me money if they weren't comfortable by my team that I'm using to execute on this project. So you try and frame that, well, if a bank is who's borrowing 300 grand and you're borrowing 50 grand, has done their checks, if it's good for the banks, there is no reason why it's not good for you. Very simply. So that's the framing on that as well. So that gets you over the whole experience barrier. And some might be like, oh yeah, I appreciate that, but like, and again, it's just how confident you are, right? If you can come across as confident, you know what you're doing, and there isn't a risk, the person can logically understand, okay, well, you're getting a huge loan, right? A bank isn't just going to write you a check just for the sake of because you want to do this project. No, they're going to do due diligence, assess your team. So if they're not comfortable with that, they won't be writing you a loan. And so that usually gets the investor over the line. It's like, you know, I appreciate that. That sounds good to me. If the bank's happy with that, there's no reason why I can't be happy with that as an experience to be able to still execute and move the project forward. So don't believe that experience is the thing that's going to help you get investment. I know a lot of people think like I need to do 1 or 2 projects before I go and raise investment, and I want to use my money before I go and raise investment. I guarantee you that when you go in to try and raise investment, that question still crops up, and it doesn't matter if you said you've done 1 project. 1 project just doesn't prove that you can still build 5, another, or even another one. It doesn't. It just, you might have got lucky on your first 2. I don't know. That could be an objection. Oh, what's to say the next one's going to go the same way? You can't say that for sure. So it's experience is never going to be like, even now, me today, like people still thinking, oh, Alfred was experience, like maybe not as much, but like the point is someone doesn't know who I am, can still ask the question. So it's not a trick question. You can just frame the question in a way that still gives them confidence that actually people about to take your money are knowledgeable, can execute, and I can see my money being safeguarded by these people. And that's the game.
That's a great one with the bridging company, because people associate banks with safety, like you said. And if the bank's lending you way more than they are, then you're like, okay, we're on the right team here.
Yeah, so with objection handling, I always think people want to behave in the same way like others have done. So I speak in the form of others. What I mean by this is, so for example, someone might say I want 25%. Also I say, oh, so normally my investors who work with me normally see a return of sub 10%. So I'm framing that, okay, they want 25, but the people that have worked with me, so I'm telling you to work with me, but indirectly to work with me, you've got to be 10% and lower. Because others have done that. So they're going to start questioning themselves, why are they wanting 25 and everyone else is working with me at 10? So I'm playing a psychological game with them at that point. And they might still be bullish, right? And this is what the whole point of like the different type of investors, right? If they feel like they are the person bringing more to the table, they're going to be like, I want this number regardless, I don't care, it's my money, right? I want to do what I want with it. And that's fair. Like I said, it's not for everyone. If it's not for you, we can part ways, and maybe in the future if I have an opportunity that suits you, we can revisit it. But for now, this is where I sit and this is how it is. And someone will respect you for that. And even fall back and say, you know what, appreciate that, maybe I'll lower my investment, I might do a lower amount, just give it a go, see how it goes first. And maybe in the future, we can renegotiate, and like, there is already, it's going to be the same. Because some might try and say, oh, let's just do a deal now, and maybe in the future, we'll try and renegotiate and see if we can kind of come up. No. To come up, maybe go bring more money to the table, maybe we can consider coming up. But you've got to be able to kind of go back and forth with these people and negotiate to your best advantage, and just be willing to walk away and have the vibe that you're just literally, if it doesn't work for you, it's fine. Someone else is going to have a call with me in the next day or 2, and hopefully they come aboard, and it's all right.
So you get your mindset to the prime, that like there's so much money out there.
Yeah, and that's what you're going to go into these calls with. Like, they're just a number on a sheet where you're having a call with them, and if they don't do it for every reason, there's someone else that will do it. So, and that way it's like, because if you come across on a call desperate, like they can sense that you need the money, That it doesn't matter how like at that point they're turned off. Like they're like no, nobody wants to give money to someone that's desperate or needs it. If you use the word "I need money," that's already like you're already psychologically telling them no, this is a no-go zone. No one should ever need money. It's I'm trying to provide you an opportunity to be able to put your money to work. That's how I frame it. It's never. I don't need 100 grand. I'm offering an opportunity to be able to invest your money to get a better return. That's what we're discussing. It's not about what I need. This is about you. It's actually about you, not me. But obviously, I know what I'm doing because I know how to conversate, I know how to negotiate, I know how to position myself in these positions. But like, I'm never using the word I need. I don't need 100 grand. I'm raising 100 grand, and I'm bringing on people that are willing to get a better return on their money. Are you someone that wants to get a better return on your money? If you are, you come on board. If you're not, you won't.
Do you say like? Because I know some people, I don't know if this is a common thing in sales, and they say like, would you be opposed to, because people like saying, they like saying no rather than yes, don't they? They feel safer, they default to no.
Yeah, so so just I guess, look.
To be fair, you probably go into the language all day long. Like.
Yeah, so but that is it though, that is it. This is in essence a sales call. You're always selling. You're always, and words are so powerful. What you say in a conversation, remember, when you're sitting at a Zoom call, you might not feel like the person's paying attention, but they are looking at your body language, talking about how you conversate. How are you answering certain questions before to what the questions are thrown at you now, how you're answering it. If you were super confident before, you weren't stuttering, you weren't like mumbling your words, whatever, they can tell, okay, at that point, that guy knew what he was talking about. Here, he sounds a bit shaky. So they can sense when someone doesn't know what they're talking about. So when someone asks you a question you don't know the answer to, rather than try and say, hey, and try to do the whole, because people just read through that, like it's a bit like, maybe not, this person maybe isn't right. So I always will just be like, hey, look, great question, look, had hundreds of these calls, I always try and frame right. I'm never the guy that's the odd one out. I'm always gonna make them the odd one out. So like, I've been on hundreds of these calls and no one's actually ever asked me that question before. So best thing I can do is take it away and come back to you on this. So now it makes him feel like, why is he the only one that's asked this question when you've had hundreds of calls? He must be either asked a silly question or, like, but I'm not, you know what I mean? So it gets them to think, and then they appreciate the fact that you aren't trying to bullshit your way through this question just to get investment on board. So never, ever try and lie on the call and try and make something up on the spot you don't know. Just frame it as, hey, it's actually a great question. I'll tell you now, I've had lots of these calls and no one's ever come up with that question, so I'm not going to hit you here and even tell you and pretend to say I have an answer for you, but what I can do is take it away and come back to you and see if I can satisfy you to be able to still move forward with this. And that, trust me, buys a lot of credibility. Because you're going to just try to babble your way, right? You don't have to say it in that way. You don't have to try and tell them that you didn't know and look like maybe potentially don't know what you're doing. But it's not that you don't know what you're doing. It's just, again, it doesn't sound like you don't know what you're doing. It just seems like you haven't come across that scenario. And rather than try and make a lie on the spot, you're to actually want to take it away to give it better.
Integrity,
integrity. And that's what they're going to, again, is an investable quality. And for me, it's like if you lie about the smallest things and they find out you've lied about the smallest things, what else are you lying about? And that's the whole thing with that. You don't want to lie about a silly question they asked you on a call that you didn't have the answer to at the spot. Because then we're talking about money here. If you're lying about that, literally, what else are you lying about? All right, so like, I can go on about this. Like, there's so much to like.
Do you have any book recommendations?
On what?
For sales, but like, sort of like, I know the best thing to do is get out there and speak to people. But
No. I think there's good. No. So I do believe there is benefit in actually listening to other coaches and hearing how they go about conversating when it comes to sales. The language matters. You can say the same sentence in two different ways and one be more impactful and get a better outcome than the other. So like language is a big part of sales and you've got to read into like words and what you're saying on the call for sure. So I can't think of anything on the spot. I don't know if you have any like.
Tom Hopkins, How to Master the Art of Selling.
Just type sales books on Audible and there'll be loads that'll come up. Sell or be sold. Yeah, Split Difference as well. These are all great books.
Persuasion, Persuasion.
Yeah. The Art of Negotiation is going to take a far in life, man. Like, for me, these are valuable. Like in every day, like it could be negotiating something on a deal, I don't know, booking, trying to events, organizing stuff for people, trying to book an apartment, a villa, and they want a premium. I'm like, this is our budget. Like, what's the best we can do with that? Like, you got to learn how to negotiate. Like, it comes up in life everywhere. Because everyone, like, in the whole sell or be sold, someone's either going to sell you on their bullshit or you're going to sell them on your bullshit. So what would you rather want, right? that is it. Literally, sell or be sold. Even your failure to sell, you're gonna get sold on someone else's bullshit, and that's the game.
I'm
So
glad that like, it's come to this point. I'm like, wow, sales is something you really need to pursue now. Because up until this point, I've been like, it doesn't really matter. But, like,
no, it's a high level skill. Like it's a
Most important skill.
yeah.
It's hard. So how long was I on the phone with you selling you?
He sold you his bullshit.
Get me off the phone, like, stop this, get me.
So yeah, sales is a high value skill. Like for me, it's one of the top skills out there. Marketing, I think
True.
marketing is greater than sales, but like your ability to be able to sell can still get you far in life.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like when I noticed when Jamie was asking some great questions, he's like, so what sort of value would you say you like? So at what point would you say would it be a success if you came to this mastermind? And I was like, I don't want to give away this information. Like, how you answer the question?
The whole point of me asking all these questions was you selling it to yourself.
yeah.
Yeah,
I was making you
you
convince
did have an
yourself
easy call to be
for the
fair,
reason.
so that was an easy
Yeah.
call, yeah.
Wait, no, I love that you said you wanted to do door-to-door sales. I think it's a great thing. Definitely encourage you to go do it. I don't
I
know.
just want to get smashed up a bit, like.
Yeah, because it will help you. Like rejection, you're going to see a lot of. You're going to meet more importantly people as well. So just be able to get in a room and speak to anybody because you don't know who's going to open the door, right? It could be a fucking guy, a fucking dog in his hand. It could be some nice guy, a rich guy. I don't know, whatever. So it's a great experience. I never did door-to-door. I've done sales training. I've been in around some killers when it comes to selling. Like fuck me, like. They've got every objection handled. I left my card at home. I need to speak to the missus, whatever. Like just any bullshit you want to come up with. They're like, hey, we got it covered.
Because I could feel like it could get. Does it feel ever awkward at all? I'm sure you overcome that yourself, but like.
What in terms of me having
I
conversations?
don't mean with you personally, but I'm sure in sales calls, people are like. It gets like a standoff, like a stalemate.
Yeah, so like at the beginning for sure you're gonna be shaking. You're gonna be like fuck. Right, and I say to people that kind of teach us to raise capital, I say to record your calls. So even if it's not like the screen record, maybe you don't do a screen record or you haven't got the facility to do so, just put your phone on the side. Or even if it's audio, I think the video is better because I can see body language. So it gives me like a 4D perspective of what's happening because voice isn't enough. Because your body language, and if you watch yourself back on a call with an investor, you'll see at what part of that call you're super confident in and where you dipped off. And guess what? If you can see it, who can see it? The investor can. And this is what I mean by like, you don't know when that call you lost the investor, but there will be a clear point if you watch it back and pay attention to body language conversation where you lost the investor. You might have asked the right questions or you pitched too soon, you didn't understand a bit more about the situation before you present the opportunity and you've gone in blind. So all of this is like, can be reviewed once you've kind of deep dived into like how the call went. So it's literally, for me, when I get on an investor call, it's a sales call. Either I close them or I get sold on their bullshit. That's how I go into the call.
Because I heard a really interesting frame when people say they don't have the money, like, because if there's a 200 grand Lamborghini out there and say, oh, I've got £0 in my bank, you can have it for 10 grand, I'll be like, right, I'll need to get 10 grand somehow, and I'll just find a way to do it.
It's never a
so if it is, it's the value's there, like.
Yeah. It's never a price. It's always a value. Sales for just for like you're on the right. I think even in property, like even negotiating on your deals and building rapport with agents, that will help. Whichever way you look at it, sales is going to help in all areas of your life. Even if you don't necessarily use it in property or raising capital, just generally speaking, walking around, trying to get girls, trying to get into somewhere where you shouldn't be getting into, or maybe shouldn't really be allowed to get into. You can get your way around. Like this, you got to have some wit about you, I guess. But like there is this thing that comes with learning how to sell.
Also be surprised that when you're...
Would you be opposed to coming in?
Let me put this down.
Would you be happy with if you came back tonight?
Henry, you'll also be surprised.
Just pull the actual thing down, the actual line. I'll fix it.
Cool.
Your maintenance company shit.
You'll also be surprised that it may seem daunting now before you sell something, that how resourceful your brain becomes when you're under that pressure and you're on the spot and you're getting asked them questions. You may not be able to think, if I ask you a question now, you may not be able to think of it, but as soon as you're on the call with the customer, you'll be surprised at what your brain can just throw out just because you're under the pressure.
Yeah.
Sales is key. Like number one thing, just learn sales.
Yeah.
In like every area of your life, it's just the ability to produce money. If you know marketing and sales, you can strip you of everything else. Go back down to zero.
You'll make it matter.
Just market and sell something tomorrow.
Someone else's stuff as well, couldn't you?
Just sell something. Market someone else's stuff and sell someone else's stuff. Number one skill.
Yeah.
Highest paid profession in the world.
Yeah.
Question, how do you raise from an idea? I'll give you an example. At the moment I'm working on a tech system
Yeah.
to automate our business.
Yeah.
And at the moment it's purely concept.
Yeah.
And I'm exploring the fundraising. I've never fundraising in life.
Yeah, so you got it. There's so many avenues, right? Like there's these VC. It depends on how much you want to raise. How much you want to raise to kind of support the software.
No idea.
Yeah, so you need to at least know that. So like, the point is, obviously there are rooms where investors exist who love this kind of stuff, where it's not being put to context because they know, right? They're not stupid. They know what can have legs. I.e., is this something that we see as a need in the society? Because that's what we're qualifying, right? Is it something there's a space for? And if there is, and they can see that you're someone that can go away and deliver on that, they're willing to back you on that investment. So why someone's raising an idea is that the idea has someone behind it, right? Someone's going to drive that idea forward and make it actually happen. That's what they're backing. So the idea is just the potential, and the person's going to be able to still be able to sell themselves. So again, you're selling sales. Come back to sales again. You are selling yourself to that investor you're speaking to about this idea, but they're going to back you, not that, or that indirectly the idea, but ultimately you're the leader, you're the person steering the ship, and they need to see that you can take it to the end and see the outcome, and therefore risk potentially losing money with you.
It's all about trust.
It depends. Some I wouldn't say trust, no, because I know some people just gone with the idea. I love the concept. Here's my money, and so even sometimes the idea can be senior to the person who's been presenting it, because maybe you're not the guy, but they can see the team behind you is. So they can clearly tell maybe, okay, you're not the guy, but the team you've got, the people behind you who's going to help deliver this, is spot on, and therefore they can see that they can get somewhere, and for that reason they'll back you again. So it can be several reasons. I think with those type of investments, it's less about you, less about I don't know how to say it. Not less about you, but like it has this thing got potential, and that's probably the more senior thing in that conversation. And then who are you? Can we see you bring that to life?
If it's just an idea, I mean, initially it's going to be seed capital, so for VCs that would just throw, it could be 25, 50, 100K a bit just to get a proof of concept, get minimum viable product, test, see if there's demand for something like it. When you've then got proof of concept, that's when you can go for another round of investment. You can build out a proper financial model and present a case that, okay, this is the size of the market we're going after. This is how long I think it's going to take us to get to market, how quickly we can grow. And then from that, you can kind of reverse engineer evaluation, like a discounted cash flow.
Yeah, but there's different stages. The way you secure the money is different as well each stage. But yeah, just I think outside of this, you can search seed rounds. You can see there will be like there's literally rooms. There's like pitches that happen all the time in central London. You can literally go and attend. There's a room that someone will stand up on stage, talk through the idea, and you can see their decks. You can see, I mean, some of them might even be online. You can see the person's deck, and you can choose to put money in. Like the crowdfunding, for example, you can just see the idea, the pack, the team, and you can look to invest into their online as well. So just type in seed rounds, VC, finance raise, all that stuff. It will kind of open you to that world of finance raising. It's a lot more savvy. Those guys are really going to draw you into what you're going to do, and really kind of you need to kind of know what you're talking about to kind of get them to have confidence that you are going to be able to make it happen. All right, so moving on. Damn, time's fine. I'm near the end anyways. So how do I structure my deals? So when it comes to finance raises, there's an element of money from the banks. So I still raise money from bridging lenders to kind of fund a good 65, 70%. And the reason why we talk about 65, 70% versus the 75% that's kind of shouted about, or even 80% loan to value against the property, is when you lend money from a bridge lender, they are going to deduct their fees, their interest payments. They don't want you to service the interest payments monthly. So ideally they want to kind of roll up the interest and deduct it off the gross loan. So meaning that if you had a 75% loan on day one, they're going to deduct the interest, which then takes it down to 65, maybe 70%, depending on how big the amount is. And then that means that you've got to fork up the rest as equity. So either 30%, 35%, whatever the balance is, And usually for me, I raise it for my private investors to be able to fund the acquisition. Obviously, in terms of refurbishment costs, usually most bridging lenders will fund 100% of the refurb costs. So that's covered. What I will say is there's a chunk of money that's required to start the works. Banks aren't stupid. They're not going to risk their money first. They want you to risk your money to start the works. On completion of that section of works after that stage, they want to check that you've done it correctly with a building control. Asset manager will come out, QS will come out, check that it's been done and money's been spent correctly, more importantly. Upon that, invoices and stuff being seen, they will then reimburse you for that money spent after that stage. But they will fund the entire process. Just you've got to have this chunk of money to get started.
So, do you delegate? I assume you. So, for your refurbishment projects, so for your first couple, were you on site and like, okay, this is this, or have you always just been like project manager?
Even from my first deal, I've always believed, and I guess my corporate background really helped me in a sense. I understand how businesses work. I sat in board meetings, director meetings. So like, I was a project manager, right? We had like 300 engineers been tasked to build an engine. Our first Jaguar Land Rover's first ever 4-cylinder engine. They went and recruited the best people from Ford, from McLaren, all the other automotive companies, pulled them together, the best engineers possible to build engines, to build their own. So I'm like, okay, cool. That principle there alone for me is a gem in the sense. Even to this day, I don't know how exactly HM is. Obviously, I've learned a lot since, but like the point I'm trying to make is, if you were to grind the size of the pipe, I couldn't tell you. I don't care. There's no relevance of knowing. I've employed an expert team who's done this several times over to allow me to be able to build out this vision of building a portfolio without having to get the granular detail and potentially be able to not need to be on site all the time. I still went on site because you've got to build trust, right, with build teams. You can't just walk on the site and feel like, oh, these guys have told me whatever and I'm going to let them run it for the next 4 or 5 months. No. I used to turn on site unannounced. So we've agreed contract, we sign everything, whatever, we start the works. I would just rock up on a Tuesday, Friday, whatever day they're working, just see who's on site, see what's happened. Once I gained trust that this build team were doing what they said they would do, then it was like, I have no, my reasoning for going on site was to create content more than to even do due diligence on the work done. Obviously, at the beginning, yes, I was doing that. I'm not blind. I'm not going to just stand back. Like I said, I would check things. I would double check things, and not just expect my team because they say they're good to have done the work and done it in the right way as well. So I did at the beginning check things. So for example, when you're setting up your rooms, socket locations are super important to furniture layouts. If you said to your build team that, hey, we need a socket placed at whatever height from this wall, a meter away or 1.4 meter, because you've got a furniture and a desk, what's it called, a bedside table next to the bed for that reason. If the build team haven't done that, guess what happens? They've done the plastering, they've repainted the wall, everything's done. To now move that socket is a mess. And so you want to double check that what you've asked them to do has been done, and if it's to measurement, you've got to check that the measurement has been done correctly. Once you gain that the team can follow instructions, can do what is said on the architecture drawings, and it's what you come on site to see is what you see on the drawings, that's when you kind of like, okay, step back and say, okay, you know what, you guys run with it, I'm in another country even, and I just pay invoices. Like, for me, I've got to pay where I could be in another part of the world, and Friday comes, they send an invoice, I pay my invoice on a weekly basis, and that's it. That's all I care about. And obviously, if we want to do a video of the entire house, show progress of work since the last week, I'll just request that, or they can send it alongside the invoice as well. And that gives me confidence, okay, they've done it, and then that's it. But at the beginning, yeah, don't trust anything. Just turn up unannounced. Just see what's happening, see that it didn't work to quality as well. Until you
Left on site on Friday.
That will happen. So you can, obviously you can't really have a go at the labourers, right? If you walked on site and someone's smoking a cigar or like blasting music super loud and probably piss off the neighbour, because that can happen, right? If you're going to be mindful, like you've got neighbours who probably are maybe family people or maybe, I don't know, whatever. If you're just blasting music superly loud and your neighbours can start hating you, you're going to be here for 5 months, and this is what you're like on a random day. You're there every single day of the week, pretty much, apart from the Sunday, one day of the week. So I need to make sure that they're not pissing off the neighbours, because then guess who's accountable? I am, not them. So I want to make sure that they're still applying, that they're being sensible based on site. So yeah, just keep an eye on them till there's trust established, and then even that, like always test them. Don't just, someone might buy you, they think you've got, they know when builders sniff things, right? They feel like they've got you, and obviously you can tell me, right? But yeah, when they think they've got you, you want to still keep them on their toes, and just like still do things like you would, just double check on things. Don't just feel like they're good for it and you're gonna
Keep
just
them on their toes.
keep them on their toes always. Because if not, they will take advantage at some point when you start to kind of step back a bit more, if that makes sense.
Because it's really interesting. Like I see, so your experience as like a project manager has really impacted how you run your business.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people like to be like doing like hands-on, sort of getting the shovel.
People that go in and say to the build team, oh, I want to source the material, I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. Because I'm sorry, if your build team are trying to accelerate the project and even like a simple thing of like, I don't know, a nail or they've run out of plasterboards, it's missing, they can't carry on. Because you said you're going to source the material, and if you can't get the plasterboard on site, guess what they do? They're going to sit around or potentially walk off site, go to work on someone else's project, and you're in a meeting at work or they're calling you, we need more plaster, we need more paint, we need more nails, we need more screws, we need more pipes.
You're literally, I guess you're literally giving them a reason to not like you as well. Like,
Yeah, so people, build teams usually, the ones that want to do everything in-house, we usually want to get awarded the whole entire thing from start to finish. We manage it all, we do everything. You just pay our checks. For me, that is the best way to do it. I've never sourced the material. The only bit I've done is staging, and even that, like, I don't even know why I did it. Like at one point, I even said on my Instagram, "Who wants to stage my house?" And people were willing to just even do it for free because like they associate themselves, well, if they can do something for me for free, I can promote them on my YouTube, which then gets them more customers. So even though I don't charge them, they don't charge me, they can make a lot more money if they just do partnerships with myself. So at one point, I was leveraging my brand to close deals and close opportunities because like, yeah, you want to work with me? Okay, cool. I can bring you more customers. So what's your price? What's the best thing you can offer me? It's true. So like my build costs were always cheaper than the average. So like the same build to another client would be a lot more, at least another 20 grand more if they were to do it with another client versus me.
Just because you had like a long-standing relationship?
They liked me and the fact that I can bring them more business. I brought them one lady that did like 20 projects with them. And that's been done several times over. Like, what I should have done was take a commission on every single project. I would have made a lot more money that way than taking a discount on my projects. But for me, it's not. I think when you do something good, right, it will come back your way some way, shape, or form. And for me, I could say I've been super, I don't even know, weirdly, in sometimes in some crazy ways, just been lucky when it comes to raise money. I could need money like in a day, 2 days, 24 hours, and there's no game plan, I'm scratching my head thinking, where's the money coming from? And then magically someone's agreed, yep, I'm in, let's do it, money's in my account, and it's just happened out of nowhere.
Pipeline?
Yeah, someone from the pipeline, people from the network have just come out. I can't tell you the amount of times I've woken up to a text message saying, I forgot some money, and what can we do? And that's what you want to get to long term, right? When you become a person of value, people start approaching with the money they have and think you can be someone that can help them with this money. So long term, at the beginning, you're going to go out and try and build a relationship, get people to come to you. So you could go to people and try and close deals, but in the future, you're going to get them. They're going to be coming to you to utilize their money. And that's the long game of this whole finance race. You want to get to that point where people come to you. On the subject of investors, so for me, based on my ability to be able to raise about £3 million up to this stage, I've kind of identified an avatar that works for me in terms of people that I've seen and have raised money from successfully, where they genuinely sit as a kind of a bracket. So for me, like I said, I'm big on wanting to raise money from people in my network, and generally that means these are working professionals, just higher earning working professionals who have money, who've probably gone past the age of 35 usually as well. And again, this psychological thing that happens with people, right? When you're born into this world, you're going to go through university, you're going to get a job, you're going to get your first car maybe, off your first paycheck, I don't know, if you're silly, you're going to go and get a car, right? You need to get a house next, the next item, so these are all like big deposits, so like big amounts of money. You get a house, and the next thing is, I need to get married, and so you're going to have this marriage, and this marriage costs 50 or 60 grand, so the money just goes again onto that thing that you splash on. Then you have kids, and like, okay, you've got to get used to having kids and spending money on kids and blah, blah, blah. So like, you only really get to maybe like 31, 32, to where you finish all of that stuff, and then really start to save, and actually just have surplus capital sat there doing nothing. So until then, people that are kind of less of that age are very fearful of letting go of their money because it's kind of still precious. They haven't really got nothing to their name yet. A lot of them now, like in the 25, 26, will be like, I'm saving money still, I'm trying to buy my house. And they're super, like, this is their big goal, right? I need to get my home, I need to get the keys. So they're not gonna give you that money. Some will get comfortable if the trust is high to give you the money, but for a lot of them, they're like, nah, I haven't got any money. Like they'll class the money in the savings for the house purchase as not money. I ain't got money. So generally speaking, the people that I've seen to raise money for have been of that age and above. I don't think I've raised money from people in 22, 23, 25, 27, or whatever, but I've just seen more of people above 35 willingly chuck 50 grand, 200 grand at me versus someone who's in their 20s. Also, I would say people that I raise money for are genuinely mindset of savers. They're not really sophisticated investors. They might double into stocks, maybe have 10, 20 grand in stocks. Some now double into crypto as well, so they'll have something in crypto. But they're not like avid investors where they've gone into huge investments and like really made investment their thing. They just like to have some money in the bank, savings, have some money elsewhere, and try and get as best a return as possible on their money. And also I'll say as well, a lot of them are family oriented people. So they just want to have a great life with their family, work a good corporate job, get their money on the weekend, spend time with their children. So a lot of them are big travelers. Like the money they make, the extra, they want to just splash on a holiday with their kids and just have great fun and just not have to kind of worry about that even expense. So a lot of my leverage around these family oriented people is like, hey, how about I fund your next family trip? What's your next family trip? What does the average family trip cost you, right? Anytime it costs 5 grand, 10 grand, okay, cool. How much money do you have available around you that you can potentially lend for 12 months? And I'll try and equate that return to match or at least add towards that next holiday trip.
Get the emotions going.
I wouldn't say get emotions going, but they can see the value of like, well, I've got money in my account, it does nothing for me, I don't see no returns come on it. If I give it to Alfred and he can give me even 5 grand in interest, that's half the holiday paid for, even the whole entire holiday paid for, or maybe even an upgraded holiday paid for doing no work. And that's the whole point, right? Is no incremental work is being done for them apart from signing a loan agreement and getting a paycheck every month or at the end of the agreement. So it's like, it's a no-brainer from that perspective for people to kind of part with their money and give me that.
So someone in like my situation, I feel confident I could raise money from people around me, but what I could do to even make the investors more confident is I could partner with someone who's like a project manager and I could put in all the money and then we could maybe, I don't know if that would be fair or not, I need to think about it, but I'm saying I could like JV with someone and then like use their experience.
But just find a great team. Why would I give someone 50% for just being someone that helps me manage a team? That's not a valuable skill, I'm sorry, it's not 50%. I'm just,
okay, yeah.
So like, it's definitely 50%. Like,
Okay, yeah, exactly.
You don't have to give them half a company.
yeah, like that's insane to me. Like, you give me half the company, I'll hire someone else to replace me, and then they'll manage it for me. I'll have half the company. Thank you very much.
You can still partner with them in the sense of like, you're going to do the project management work for me, and I'm just going to pay your project management
fee.
And then that's when you go present to investors, you say, this is my project manager.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah,
I guess you got to learn the game, right? So
there's so many ways around it. Like if you just thought, oh, no experience, how the hell are we going to raise money? When you actually think about it,
it's all positioning.
Yeah, it's all like in your mind, isn't it? It's crazy.
Listen, people, it's just back to the whole idea thing. When people go and want to put something out to the world, generally speaking, they're just a visionary. They just have this idea of wanting to do something. They go and find the right people and say, hey, what's your experience? I know you work at this company, you'd be a great asset to our company. I would love to give you 5% of this company to come and help us build this out. Then on their CV, like the way I'm going to build my private equity company is like, I'm going to have to get someone from these big banks who've been there, done this several times over to come on the CV. I can't go and raise £10 million for someone. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to buy apartment buildings, 100 units plus. They're like, okay, you have no, like, what have you done? I've done 1 billion transactions. And I have because the guy on my team has. And so I can say that with confidence.
It's limitless then, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's, if you look at any big, whatever, anything that's been built big, they just went and found great people. That's the game. You need to be a visionary. Yeah, I know you're having light moments.
Even Stephen Schwartzman with Blackstone, the biggest private equity real estate company in the world, he just found a guy called John Gray, who heads up the real estate division, and pretty much like build the company. You just find the people that build the business.
Find great people. That's what
you always get told, like going through, sort of growing up, like, oh, this is all on you, like, you've got to sort out yourself.
Oh no, but obviously it is. You've still got to get up, right? Get the idea and go and do the work and find it. To find people isn't an easy job, right? To even attract good talent isn't an easy thing. You've got to be valuable enough for them to want to even work with you. How do you poach someone that's already making money, that's already got life set? There needs to be something that's bigger than that, right? And they see that in you. If they can't see that in you, they won't work with you. So you've got to become great.
It's actually really hard to find good
Yeah.
people at management.
It's not easy. Like, so concept sounds easy, but in putting into reality, it's a difficult challenge. I won't lie to you. I'm a straight shooter. Like, that is a hard task.
It's crazy. When I first bought property, I was like, oh, cool, I'll just buy a couple of houses and rent them out. And then the deeper you go, like, so I've got to learn sales now. I've got to do
There's a whole personal development journey ahead of you.
Exactly what we put on Instagram the other day, landlord versus business owner.
Well, I was like, this is brilliant. I'm just going to sit back and like.
But don't get me wrong. Like, I never make anything. Like, anything great in life never comes easy, right? If it was that easy, everyone would be doing it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that's going to happen for you that's going to change. You're having these like moments, which is good. You've got to take that away and implement them. More importantly. But like, there's this journey that's going to happen where you're going to evolve as a character. It's not like, hey, 2 days, I'm going to get this thing and I'm going to become this. No, you've got to go work on yourself, develop more skills, get your confidence up when you're speaking to people. All that stuff will happen for you to allow you to then start creating this thing that you want, which is this portfolio that provides your income, which is raising money for investors. So there's work to be done, for sure. Like, this isn't going to come easy, but it's achievable if you put the work in, very simply.
Yeah, well, there's loads of people have done it. Like.
Yeah, and that's the mindset. You're in the right. I already know you're gonna make it in life because you have the right mindset already. Like, I just know. The fact that you're even saying a lot of people have done it just is a confidence boost because, like, well, if everyone else has done it in your mind, like, more people have done it, why can't I do it? And that's the way you got to look at life. For me, no disrespect to Kim Kardashian, but like, for her to raise £1 billion and not fucking know what she's doing, like, that blows my mind every time I think about it. How does this person? She got a brand, I get it, but like, I don't think she's that great of a business person or that smart to even be able to raise a billion that easily. So she can fucking do it, so I can raise $1 billion. I'm sorry, I'm convinced I can. I just am.
I watched your video when you went to Grant Cardone's. You said it's like 25 grand for it.
Yeah. 2 days.
That was another light bulb moment. You're like, well, if this saves me years and I hear something that's going to save me like time. Like,
for me, that whole thing was like a whole paradigm shift for me. Like, just how money flowed in that room. Like, I've never experienced that in my life. So it's like, for me, it's like, fuck, there's like a whole different level to wealth. Like, these guys, like, Grant at one point said, hey guys, I created this room to create new $1 billion verticals. If you're here to try and pitch me your shitty, literally said your shitty £100 million deals and opportunities, I already have that. I'm not interested in that. I'm just being real. Like, I want to have a $1 billion vertical. If you don't have a $1 billion vertical, don't speak to me about anything less than that. He just point blank. And it just shows, right, again, when you're at that level, you know what you want out of life. So you know what to push to the side. You won't even entertain it for even a half a second if it's just not something you want.
When you say get clear on what you want, I think I need to do that because I asked myself that question the other day, and all I could come up with is I want to buy some property, and that's like.
And maybe that's where you start. But it would be great to know a bit further than that.
We'll do some of that tomorrow.
Getting clear. Yeah.
You don't want to overthink it. I always think simple's easy to scale, and complex is like it's not scale.
Scales, complex fails.
Yeah, that's it. So like, have the big vision, because the big vision allows you to get the small thing right. The foundation. Like, I've done the foundation bit. The bigger vision is I've done the foundation in a way to allow me to do the big vision. But like, yeah, having that forward vision will definitely make you make better decisions now. Because if you don't have that forward vision, right, you might make some decisions maybe weren't that great. Because maybe they just wanted to just get started and just do something. Versus you have the wider picture, you can better strategically choose what you start with. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So as you go down the path, it sort of lights itself up.
So let's say you want to get to 100 million. That's the big vision. That's the big vision, right? You don't know how you're going to get to 100 million. You don't fucking start anything. But there's a 100 million vision that you've got in this mind. So you've got to find something that, okay, step one, I need to not have to worry about money. To get to 100 million pounds, you can't be worrying about how do I pay my bills, how do I afford this. That's going to be eliminated. So first thing, become a producer, make money, be able to have money around you. That's step one. Okay, what vehicle allows me to be able to do that? You got to fix that. But anyways, I don't want to digress, but Tyler, I'm sure we'll go through all that stuff and vision and blah, blah, and give you a clear.
I think it's really valuable information, to be honest.
But yeah, you've got to just get clear on the wide lens and then like create a plan that allows you to get there.
And when you were sort of coming up a bit, I know environment's super important. I mean, that's why you come to an event like this.
Yeah.
what were you just sort of off to networking events? And
Definitely not networking events. No one has money networking. Well, they do have money, but not the money I want.
I find that the property ones I've been to, they're like the same people just like scratching around, like sharks almost, just trying to.
And that's why there's very little people around me that like Tyler obviously spend a lot of money to be in rooms, but like we spend I just know to get the information I want to surround myself with quality people. I've just got to spend this is like I mean it's an investment to be in this room. Like you can't just you're not going to find that at a property event. If you want to go to a property event, go to a property event. No disrespect to them, but like for me that's not like it's for a purpose. It serves a purpose, but it's where I'm going in life. I'm just not going to be in that room. It's just nothing in that room is going to serve me at this point. Like the only rooms are going to serve me. Unfortunately, rooms I'm going to have to pay for. So it's
because it is like a level to get in. Like people who are committed.
Yeah.
You're going to pay this amount. If it's 10 quid to go, like you're going to be with like, oh, I'll give it a shot. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. So it is what it is. If you're fortunate enough to be in a network where you can sit around some private members clubs and you hear some great conversations where someone's putting only in front of 100 million, you're like, fuck. The guy just said only 100 mil. Really made 100 mil. You're like, what the fuck? Like I remember we had a town hall at Jaguar Land Rover, and our director said on stage, only 2 billion. And I think I don't think people around me didn't even hear that. I think I noticed him using the word only in front of 2 billion. He's like, we only profited 2 billion this year. And I was thinking, this guy just fucking said 2 billion, and like, this guy just only 2 billion. Like, no one's like reacted to like, I was like, did I just hear correctly? Like, this guy is just dismissing 2 billion, pretty much calling it nothing. We need to do more. And again, it just shows when you're around guys that operate at a high level, the want and they're so high and they're super ambitious, and they believe that we can always do more, we can always produce more. So being around high achievers, you start to realize your thing is fucking a joke. You've got to level up, you've got to get around better people who are of that think and just want to push to become the best version of themselves. And don't get me wrong, it's not for everyone, right? Some people don't want to become whatever, but like, I think everyone should want more out of life. That's one thing I do believe. Like, we have this choice to do what the hell we want, become who we want. Why would you not want more? Why would you settle for less? So for me, that I try and push on people, like, you've got to want more out of life. You might be great where you are, might be comfortable, but there's more.
When you were setting your visions, was it like cars? Was it a certain amount of properties? Was it money or what?
I don't even think. I'm just. If I'm honest, like when I was saying my like, there's things. They always move in targets. Like targets, you might set first thing is $1 million, and you're like probably the first target most people try. I want to hit, become a millionaire, or at least see $1 million, and on your way to that number will shift. Because you see it's so attainable now. You're like, you're en route, you're going to hit that target for sure. So the way to kind of keep you focused and get you to surpass that number is you've got to move the target to like 2 or 3. So now you start thinking differently, how do I get to 3? Because you know you have a solution for 1. And so that number, you never really truly, like if you're serious about your goal, you never really truly hit the targets. You just never. That number's shifted for me so many times. So it's like, it's just, I mean, it's to anchor you and keep moving forward, but you'll keep pulling that.
So you set it, and then you move it, but you move the goalposts.
You will naturally, and it will just be your decision, because it become very apparent to you that okay, cool, I'm fucking gonna hit. I'm 5 months away from hitting this for sure. There's no way I don't hit that, and that confidence will allow you to feel comfortable moving that goalpost to another bigger goal to keep you moving forward and keeping you engaged. More importantly, because when you know you're gonna achieve something, it's like it happened to in the next 6 months, 12 months. It doesn't matter. There's no like urgency anymore. It's like it's just whatever happens. And I don't want to be in that state. I hate being in that state. There's no creativity. There's no like resourcefulness. You're just like, oh yeah, it's gonna happen. I can sit here on this chair and it'll happen. Like, do you know what I mean? I hate being in that state. So I always want to push. And get in an operation where you're always wanting to think different solutions, different ways to get to the outcome. Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Anyways,
back against the wall, sort of.
Yeah, I just know personally I operate under pressure. Like we've like, even myself and Tyler, we've done some crazy. We told you some stories like sort of the events that we do. We've got Miami coming up and Dubai. We've done some things like people probably wouldn't be comfortable doing, like stuff that's like people's right mind like why the hell would you put yourself under such pressure? But we just understand that we can get resourceful, we can make it happen. We're not going to back down. We're going to make it happen.
Like I said earlier, right? When you just refuse any other outcome.
Yeah.
Just like this is happening. I literally just booked dinner for tomorrow night. I messaged this guy at this restaurant. I said, can I book for 8 people? 9:30. He comes back and says, no, sorry, we're fully booked. I just like, no. I'm like, check again. He comes back and says, oh, bro, I've got it booked for you. So it's like when you just don't.
Literally, that's no for an answer. There is always a way. There is always a way. Like you got to have that about you. Like when you do, and you see that it works, and next time you're like, fuck. Yeah. You'll learn. You'll get there. You'll get there. Everyone here will get there. You've got to. It's like this. Something. This stuff doesn't happen overnight. Unfortunately, like it's like an evolution of you. Your future self will sit back and look back and like, fuck. I was so naive. I had no. And even at that point, you still don't know anything. But you're like looking back, you're like, fuck. Yeah, I'm way ahead. Way more different. Mindset's different. So like, if I look back now, I look at myself and I was in the corporate world. I still had an ambition. I always had an ambition, like to always do more. But like. My know-how now is, I don't even know what that is as an X multiple. Like I didn't know anything back then. 0. You must call it minus. So just go on ahead. I can already tell you're curious. You want to know more and ask some questions, and you're very like curious. I think people that walk around on this planet Earth who are curious will go far simply because they aren't just walking through this life just passively, just not even thinking about things. They always kind of want to find out how something works. How do you do that? How do you do that? So just be curious. That alone gets you to places and gets you to get new concepts understood. Just summarize some tips on when it comes to raising finance. Back to kind of mindset, you've got to believe you can raise money. And it's such a cliche thing to say, right? All these things are quite cliche to say, but if you think you can't raise money, I'm sorry, I can't help you. It doesn't matter what I say to you. You're going to self-sabotage. You already self-sabotage because you believe you can't raise money. So you're going to think, yes, I am worthy. If I have the right opportunity, why can I not raise money? It will be insane for someone not to give you money. That is the mindset you've got to operate from to allow you to be able to attract money and be able to raise money from individuals. Tell everyone what you do, and again, very cliche in a sense, and it's not to go and pitch to people in your network. It's more about talking about you're on this journey of getting into property and you're looking to raise capital from individuals or have raised or are raising capital from people. And people kind of understand what you're saying in a sense. If you're saying to someone, hey, I went to an event and I was going to property investment, looking to take property serious, I invested into myself, they now know you want to get into property, right? Step 1. Step 2, you actually take it upon yourself to get into the room, pay to get into the room, to get knowledgeable. No average person does that, right? To be able to take themselves out of their home, spend thousands of pounds to go and sit in a room. They just don't. Average person will just sit at home, watch TV, watch Netflix. So someone listening to that alone will tell that you're a higher level of seriousness than the average. And that alone is an investable quality. Then that goes on to documenting and showing your journey and showing your progression. So people that are now into what you're doing will keep tabs of how that's progressing. So now it's building this thing of what you're up to and creating an opportunity for them to potentially invest in you in the future. So just continue to tell your story and continue to tell people what you're up to. Don't be in this mindset, I've got to hide and I've got to do it by myself and figure it out myself and keep it all a secret and come home to our guys and become a millionaire. Like, you're gonna struggle that way. You can obviously do it that way, but like for me, what's allowed me to explode and be able to do things quickly is by me coming out, sharing what I'm up to and literally documenting the whole entire process.
You said that you posted like, you're at the gym at 5 a.m. Is it every day you go?
Yeah, so like when I was in the corporate world, I was adamant I need to kind of figure out how I can go to the gym and still kind of do work and still be able to come out and go to networking events in London. I was in the Midlands at the time, so I used to travel down on a train to London, go to networking event like 7, get the last train at Euston, which would take me back home for like 12, I'll get back home literally 12:30. So it's like, if I don't go to the gym in the morning, I'm like, the day's done. There's no chance of me getting to the gym. So I used to just keep to that schedule. And I wanted to kind of show discipline through turning up to a gym, showing a timestamp. For me, you can't fake timestamp. So by me putting a timestamp up there, it shows, okay, this guy's every day consistently getting to the gym around the same time. So it shows his discipline, he's consistent with what he's doing, and he's serious, more importantly. And these are all investable qualities again. People are looking at that thinking, oh, this guy's, if I want to back someone, who would I back? A guy that can consistently get up out of bed to go to the gym at 5 a.m., he is dedicated. Like, again, comparing to the average, who in their right mind gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to the gym? People are like, fuck, I'm against all the hell. I get people saying, bro, how you've been to gym, done a workout, I ain't even out of my bed yet, you showered, you're at work, I'm still chilling at home. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you just said something which hit home for me, trying to like hide everything and just come out like, okay guys, yeah, I'm a millionaire now. I think, yeah, I've sort of lost that mindset now, but until like recently, I've definitely had that. Like, I can't be asked to show the whole journey because it's like,
honestly, remember when you've made it and you can look back and you can just see it all documented, it'll be the most amazing feeling.
That's the framing I've taken. Like,
Yeah.
because if you know you're getting to the goal, it doesn't actually matter. You don't really give a shit how long it takes because you know you're going to be there. So,
Yeah.
just a journey.
We've got to wrap this up, don't we? So just what I would say is when showing and documenting stuff, show both the good and bad. And the reason why I say that is because people that are in business, things go wrong. Your ability to show that you can solve problems is again another investable quality. So I always try and promote the bad stuff as well and say, hey, look, this is what happened. But more importantly, show how I overcame the problem. Because now it shows that you can actually fix things that go wrong, which is what is expected in business. And again, people want to invest in someone that can fix problems, rather than say, fuck, I've lost it all and I'm not going to do anything about it. Keep it simple. Don't try and overcomplicate things when speaking to people about property, because you start getting into this nitty-gritty of like how things work and people get lost in that space. So just keep it simple when conversating about this stuff. Sell through that direct, so pretty much what I've been saying all day long. Like, you want to sell through a story. So you want to talk about your experiences, what you're doing. You had an investor call looking at raising 8%. You don't say I want to raise this money for 8%. You say I've been having calls with investors. You're conversating with someone, for example, looking at raising 100 grand, and hopefully the guy who had a meeting with should be able to hit the 50 grand with me or 100 grand with me.
So you like normalise it, like, okay, so there's other people having calls, so I'll give it to God.
Yeah, so if someone, for example, has 50 grand and they heard what you said and they know that they're not getting that kind of return right now, they're like, oh, this sounds like something I should explore. And they obviously know you, right? They're like, yeah, let's explore this. How does it work? So it's like you're trying to leave, you're baiting to see if they catch, basically. And that's the whole point of you telling the story. Rather than say, oh, hey, you got 100 grand, I'm trying to raise 100 grand for my deal. Nobody likes being asked for money. If someone came and asked you for money right now, you'd be put off. If someone came and offered the opportunity, it's a different story. You could choose to get involved in an opportunity or choose not to get an opportunity, but it's a different positioning.
You want to feel like you're making the decision rather than you've been finessed into it.
Yes. And lastly, obviously this comes with time, but you've got to get confident. Because again, if an investor can see that you're not confident in what you're saying and don't know what you're saying, then it comes through your body language, your conversation, and that again repels them. And the idea is you want to show that you are in charge, you know what you're doing, you know how to fix problems, and therefore they see you as a safe pair of hands, and for that reason they want to invest in you and become a partner even. So that's what I would say when it comes to raising finance. So obviously we breezed through it quite a bit, but to be fair, we digressed a bit as well. But I hope you guys got some tips on how to be able to implement this stuff and start looking to raise some money from people in your network. Good?
Yeah, thank you very much.
No worries.
Cool. That's a 10-hour day, guys.